So true. There ain't no other for me. It's only you. I wanna be down with what you're going through. I wanna be down. I wanna be down with you.
Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Derica and you are watching Shelf Love with D. Welcome back y'all to another weekly wrap up of my reads and streams. Y'all, so before we get into this wrap up and attendance and all that jazz, I came home to some book fairy mail. It was such a pleasant surprise because I sat it on the table. No, my son did. I sat on the table and I walked past it because I'm like, oh, that must be for my husband or my son because I hadn't ordered anything. Well, lo and behold, my son opened the package and it was a book. Now, this book has been on my wish list for a cool little while, on my TBR for even longer, and I want to say, is it my sis' favorite reader? And only because I recently asked her about this book on her page, someone was nice enough to gift her 2 copies. And I ran and was like, hey, have you already gifted the second copy to someone? Because I was ready to pay for shipping or whatever to get it. And she's like, yes. So that's the only reason why I'm wondering if it's her or not. I'm not trying to make no assumptions. Or maybe someone saw me in the comments asking about it. It's just such a coinkydink that this is the book that was gifted to me. So I'm so grateful, so excited. That's why I say I just love the bookish community. Like, there is just no community like the bookish community. Like, we are truly one big family. Even if some of us are distant relatives and we may not, watch each other all the time or engage with each other all the time, there's always such support and attentiveness, and we love to surprise each other. And I really needed this. I know y'all have heard me say it a few times. This week has been really rough. Really, really rough. My family is truly going through it right now. So this was just a sunshine ray to my day. And I feel like this was God, like, just placing me on somebody's heart to let me know, like, that I am seen. So thank you, whoever you are. There is not a gift note in the package with it, so I'm not sure. And if you want to remain anonymous, that's okay as well. But know that I am truly, truly grateful for everyone who subscribes or watches my videos or reads my comments and like makes mental notes of like things that I like and want to surprise me with them. Like, I'm so grateful for that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so now let's go ahead and take attendance. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Now, remember, only subscribe if you can see yourself coming back, hanging with me in yet another video. Otherwise, drop your favorite emoji, green heart, book stack, sunflower, anything. Just let me know that you were here with me today or rocking with me in yet another video. All right, so now that all the business is handled, let's get into this weekly wrap up. Okay, y'all, so this week, like I said, it was a little stressful, so I didn't get a ton of reading done. And I think with the stress and stuff that I'm dealing with, I think it had my picker a little off because I didn't feel like I picked a good combination of books. And I wasn't really gravitating towards any book this week. So let's go ahead and start with the book that I DNF'd, y'all. And before I tell y'all what this book is, this past week I picked this book up and tried to start it. No, I picked this book up and started it and restarted it and restarted it and restarted it. Probably every day this week I restarted it, and finally I was like, don't restart it, just keep going with it, just keep going with it. And maybe, after a few pages, a few chapters, you will be reeled into the book. That didn't happen. So then I had to say, okay, Derica, you're doing it again. Okay. There are so many books on your TBR that you want to read. So many other books that are page turners. So many other books that will be like easier reads for you because they're just that enjoyable for you. It's okay to DNF this book. You can circle back to it at another time, or you can give it a hard DNF. No one says that you have to read this book. So I'm like, you know what, Steph? You're right. We're done with this book. For now, we're going to say it's a soft DNF. If in the future I feel like, maybe I'll do a reread series or retry series or something like that, maybe I will. But this book, I felt such a detachment to this book and the storyline that I'm not sure if it will be one that I circle back to. Nonetheless, I'll go ahead and tell y'all what the book is, and that is The One Day You Were My Husband. This title immediately drawn me in. I thought the book description was pretty promising, but it is so slow. It is a slow burn, and that could have me missing out on a good read. The overall star rating on Goodreads is a 3.81, which is not great, but it's not terrible. So it also kind of made me feel better about DNFing it because I'm like, it's a cool read based off that star rating. To me, that it says it's not great, but it's not the worst. It was a cool read, cool one-time read. Okay, so if you're not familiar with The One Day You Were My Husband, I'll go ahead and give you a quick little recap. In 2010, Carrie and Johan fall madly in love after a 5-month whirlwind romance. They get married on a beach in Thailand. Carrie is a British surgical intern, and she knows she's being uncharacteristic. And she knows she's being impulsive, but she's too happy to care. The festivities begin. Day stretches into night, and then armed men swarm the beach, arrest Johan, and is taken into custody. He refuses to speak to her while he's in custody, and she never sees him again until 2022. Carrie is settled in the English countryside with her husband Robin and her 6-year-old twins. After a difficult entry into motherhood, Carrie has given up her career as a physician and has convinced herself that life as a mother and wife is enough, until she stumbles across an online post that makes her realize Johan is out of prison and has been for years. As the memories of their intense, passionate relationship return to her, she becomes obsessed with discovering the truth about what happened on the beach all those years ago, even if it means putting her marriage and family in jeopardy. Okay, so sounds real good, right? Real good. No. No. So anyways, I said soft DNF, and that was at 27%. This is the book. Soft DNF was very slow, way too much surgical jargon and happenings. So in the book, the main female character is a surgeon, and I'm all for a little sprinkle of people's career and background in these fictional stories. And it is quite possible that toward the middle end of the book, there's a reason why they want us to know that she's just this great, attentive to detail surgeon. But in the beginning, it is just operation after operation, how she caught this and she works at this place and this is the best. I'm like, girl, I do not care about this surgery. I'm sorry. That's not what we're here for. We are here for these thriller elements. Like, can we get back to it? And then I said, I didn't connect with either of the main characters, may return at a later date, possibly, not sure though. So that is like a very, small possibility that I will circle back to it. Also, I got tired of hearing the name Johan. I get that's his name, but in the 27% of the book that I had read, his name was used way too many times. Johan this, Johan that, Johan. Like, I got tired of hearing I'm like, whoa. Overuse. I truly got tired of hearing the name so much that I almost didn't care about the romance of it, which is a big part of the book. So I'm like, I have to keep reading this. Like, maybe I need one of my book girlies to read the book and review it and tell me whether I should continue with it or not. So as for now, it is a soft DNF with a small possibility of circling back to later on. All right, so the next book up that I read this past week is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Sometimes I Lie, let me go ahead and read it for you in the back. All right. My name is Amber Reynolds. There are 3 things you should know about me. 1, I'm in a coma. 2, my husband doesn't love me anymore. And 3, sometimes I lie. Amber wakes up in a hospital. She can't move. She can't speak. She can't open her eyes. She can hear everyone around her, but they have no idea. Amber doesn't remember what happened, but she has a suspicion that her husband had something to do with it, alternating between her paralyzed present, the week before her accident, and the series of childhood diaries from 20 years ago. Is something really a lie if you believe it's the truth? Okay, sounds good, right? Y'all, this book, nobody told me I needed to sit down with a pen and a notepad for all the twists and turns and characters and impersonations and blah, blah, blah happening in this book. This book will have your head hurting, but keep reading. It all makes sense in the end. Like, I was so confused for the first, no, majority of this book. I was confused, but I'm like, I'm sticking with it. I'm gonna stick with it. Especially once I checked in on the reviews and everyone was saying the same thing. Like, I'm so confused, but I'm steady reading because I have to find out what happens. And then in the end, it all kind of comes together. So I stuck with it. And although in the end things were made clear, my head was hurting. So I learned that I do not like the, what is it called? The unreliable narrator. I think that's what it's called. If it's not, I'll put the correct term on the screen. That's not my thing. Because for one, to me, it's kind of cheating. Like, well, yes, of course I'm going to be confused and not guess the twist because you're giving me an unreliable narrator who's twisting facts. And so it's not really my thing. I didn't enjoy that at all. But the story overall is very interesting. Y'all know Alice Feeney is the web queen. She knows how to weave together some stories and have you all over the place. So she did that very well. And I know this is one of her earlier books, right? Let's see. If I'm not mistaken, this is one of her earlier books. And I will say, me personally, I feel like that with time, she's gotten better with how she weaves those books together. This one for me was a little too much confusion, a little too much mystery. But overall, it was a good read. I will say this is probably my least favorite Alice Feeney book that I've read so far. But I am still very much so an Alice Feeney fan. So I just want to make note that if you pick this book up, you will be confused. You will be confused a good 60 to 70% of the book, but keep reading. Just read the words on the pages. Just read the character as whoever they are saying they are at that time, and the book will come together in the end. You may still feel a little confused because I still was a little confused. I won't lie. I was like, you know what? I think later down the road, when life is not so busy and my mind isn't so crowded, I will try to reread this book, especially now that I know the twist. I would like to read it again to see if I have a clearer understanding, and or if it's just one of those books that at the end your head is hurting and you're like, what the heck? So I will say, for me personally, the ending or the twist in this one was like a little underwhelming to me in comparison to the other twists that I read by Alice Feeney. Let's see who's read it. So someone, I don't know, Latazia says, am I well after reading this? I don't think so. This book really had my mind so confused most of the time. I couldn't put it down because I had to find out what was going to happen next. I don't know who I disliked most in this book. Overall, this is my second read by Alice, and it didn't disappoint once again, even though I have more questions than answer, but whatever. And then our girl Bookmark by Aaliyah read this book 3 years ago. She rated it 4.5 stars. Says, this is my second one by Alice Feeney, and I can say now that I am a fan. I love the way her writing style leaves me hanging onto her every word, wanting more and more. So much more that I lose sleep and am exhausted all day because I couldn't put the book down. The characters in her novels are always so twisted and weird, and I love it. The twist on this are just, oh my gosh. There's so many people that gave this book low ratings, but don't let that stop you from picking up this gem. Remember, ratings are always subjective. Judge it for yourself, and if you don't like it, it'll definitely not be a waste of your time. Very entertaining and grabs you from the beginning. So I agree with that from the beginning, especially that first line that says like, I'm in a coma, my husband doesn't love me anymore, and sometimes I lie. It's definitely a good hook line. But you will be confused. This is a maze. Like every other page, you're being taken a different direction. Things that you think are happening, people that you think, people who you think are certain people or have certain characteristics, or people who you may be feeling sorry for, you'll realize you shouldn't have been, or people you're not feeling sorry for, you realize like, dang, I should have been having, more empathy for this person. Like, it is a wild ride, y'all. I finished that book and I laid there like, what the heck? How did she come up with this stuff? So it was overall a cool read, a cool one-time read for me, although I am just curious about reading it again later down the line, when my mind is clearer, to see just if I have a better understanding. It's funny because connecting the dots with Darnayas, one of the books that we're voting on to read is Sometimes I Lie. So maybe if it ends up winning, maybe I'll just read it again with them just to see. But yeah, check it out. I'm not going to give it a star rating. The one thing I do agree with is that star ratings are subjective. And y'all know I've said this before, that I cannot give these out like fairly. Like, I just can't create a scale that is fair as to why this book over here is 3 stars, that is a deep, profound book, but this silly book over here I rate 6 stars. I just can't make it fair or make it make sense. So if it's not a 5-star, I'm just not giving it a star rating. But I do recommend this book for you to try personally, and I would love to hear your thoughts, because this book had me so confused. I gotta hear from more of my book family. Like, what did y'all think of this book? And if you have read it, let me know down in the comments. Like, were you as confused as I was throughout this book? And was your head hurting at the end from trying to keep up? I'm like, oh my freaking gosh, this one may have a little too many twists and turns for me, but I don't regret reading it. I am still an Alice Feeney fan and recommend this book and any other book by her. I'm curious to dive more into Alice Feeney's back catalog. So far, I've read Beautiful, Ugly, My Husband's Wife, and Sometimes I Lie. Pretty sure that's it. So let me know what should be up next on my TBR for an Alice Feeney read. All right, so the other book that I read was just a easy, quick read. I needed something to kind of shake it up. I noticed I was like leaning too far over into the thriller side this week, and I noticed I definitely like variety. So I'd like to have one romance, one thriller, one street lit. Like, I can't have them all the same. I mean, sometimes I can burn through a street lit, but for the most part, I love a variety, and that could have been what made The One Day You Were My Husband a little hard to get into. But the other book that I read this past week is The Dope Man's Wife, and this is by Jaquavius Coleman, who y'all know as my girl Ashley Antoinette's husband. So I want to dive into his catalog, and see what his writing style is. And so I am pretty sure this is one of his older books. Yeah, this was published in May 2009. So this is one of his old books. So we definitely went into it with a little more grace. Let's see. So if you're not familiar with The Dope Man's Wife, it says Nautica was raised by the streets and forced to grow up fast. The allure of the fast life pulled her into a world of scandals, schemes, and hustling. After Nautica comes up on a big scam and her biggest payday ever, she decided to move to the East Coast in search of a new beginning. What she thinks will be a new start turned out to be a nightmare. She meets Manny, a well-known millionaire drug lord who is planning his exit from the streets. Manny is ready to settle down and marry the woman of his dreams. He sweeps Nicole off her feet and introduces her to the good life, promoting her from ex-hood chick to the queen of the streets. But when the past comes back to surface, it causes their whole world to fall to pieces. Nautica and Manny have skeletons in their closets that intertwine and cause a dilemma that turns them against each other. This story takes you through the life of a dope man's wife and her fall from grace. Look through her eyes and prepare for a sexy, page-turning classic that has an ending so unpredictable, not even Nautica could see it coming. So for a street lit, I'm gonna have to rate this 5 stars because it gives me all that I expect in street lit. So, was it the greatest book ever? No. But was it a good street lit? Yes. Did it have good twists and turns? Yes. Did it surprise me with the ending? Yes. When I thought I couldn't be surprised anymore, it hit another turn. Like, this was well written for a street lit. Now, it did have some errors, like typing errors and grammatical errors and things like that. But again, this was his new work, and I don't really make a big fuss about that because, grammatical things and where to put a comma and things like that don't always come easy to people. It didn't come easy to me all the time with punctuations and things like that didn't always come easy to me either growing up. So before they're able to get like an editor and things like that, I try to have a little grace with those books that have errors, and it doesn't really drive me crazy as long as I can understand what I'm reading. So this book overall for a street lit was a good time, fast read, page turner from the beginning. I was very interested in this book and it was an easy read. I think I finished it in one day. So it is. So I will say that if you felt like the Prada Plan was like a little too be-ish, over the top soap opera, I would say this is probably a step down. It's not as dramatic as soap opera, but you're still gonna have some like over the top moments, right? But it's really it's really tame in comparison to the Prada Plan. Like the Prada Plan had a little bit of everything. I think this one was well paced, especially for those who feel like, okay, that was a little too much. This one had some happenings, but it was a little more on the chill side, but it definitely had those twists and turns and an unexpected end for sure. So I'm committed to finishing this series out. I think the next one up is called The Dope Man Fiend. Again, this is his earlier work, so I feel like for his earlier work, it was pretty good, very entertaining. So we're gonna give that a 5 stars. Now again, I've said this before, my 5 stars that I give like urban fiction or street lit is going to be different for everything else, because there's certain things that I expect with urban fiction or street lit. I expect the drama, I expect that ruggedness, I expect betrayal, I expect, some romance, I expect all those things. I expect a soap opera in urban fiction and street lit. So I'm a little more giving in the star department when it comes to urban fiction because I know what to expect, and as long as it hits those things of what I like in my urban fiction, it'll get a good rating for me. So let's see here if anybody, doesn't look like anybody. Oh, Natasha read it 10 years ago. She rated it 4 stars, and I think that's fair. I definitely think that's fair. Let me see if I can give you one. Okay, someone said Nautica is one crazy woman, and I'm so here for that. Did she make good choices? No. And yet I couldn't help but love her anyway. But that ending, excuse me, it can't end like that. No, no, no. Okay, this one has spoilers, so we'll skip that. Somebody said, I don't get the title, but the book was awesome. Sex, stripping, pregnancy, anger, love, plotting, lying, stealing, drugs, liquor, jealousy, grape, abuse, murder, and backstabbing. With all that, I couldn't put this down. I was actually mad that I had to go to work because I didn't want to stop reading. My only wish is that this book was longer and that maybe it had a happy ending. So then she starts to mention some of the like grammatical errors and things like that, but said it didn't bother her that much. This one has spoilers, so we'll skip that. But a lot of 4 and 5 star ratings for this book. Some are old, like 10 years ago, and some are fairly new. So I say go for it. If you love street lit, if urban fiction is your lane, if you love Ashley Antoinette or even Jacquel J, or if you felt like my girl Ashley Antoinette was a little too over the top with hers, and you want something like that but a little more toned down, I say this is the way to go. Like, definitely enjoyed my time with this, and like I said, a very quick read, and I will be finishing out this series, so y'all stay tuned for updates on that. All right, so that's it for my reads. Now on to my streams. This past week, y'all, with everything going on, I really didn't watch a whole lot, but I did put on some Lifetime movies. I wanted to watch something that I didn't have to really like focus too hard on, something that I knew would be a little silly. And I say silly just because y'all know Lifetime movies. I guess my husband never watched it because as I'm putting it on, he's just like, babe, really? Look at this. Or they're acting on their wigs or whatever. Like, that's what you get and expect when you watch these Lifetime movies. Like, the title is going to be crazy. Like, I watched a movie that Reginae was in that I believe is called Boxed In. And then I watched a movie that my girl Remy Ma was in. What is it called? I can't even think of what it's called. I'll put it on the screen. And then I watched another one that Remy was in, also with Tammy from Basketball Wives was in. I can't think of what that's called either, but I'll put it on the screen. They're all were Lifetime movies, and you know, you get what you get. But they were fairly entertaining, though. I think out of the three that I watched, the one that I least enjoyed was the one with Tammy, and she did really good with her acting, but the overall storyline just kind of got drug out a bit for me. I felt like it could have been a bit shorter because it got a bit repetitive and a little silly, but it's Lifetime, right? So that's it, y'all, for this week's reads and streams. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me week after week, coming back and engaging with me. Like, I appreciate y'all. Y'all rock with me for real. Like, thank you so much. We're up to like 750 subscribers or something like that. So grateful for each and every one of you. Let me know down in the comments what you are currently reading or what your last now next was. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what your last now next was. I would love to hear that. Thank y'all so much for hanging with me today. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And until next time, don't forget to show yourself some love today.
Blessed with another chance, blessed with another chance, blessed with another chance.